Hello, this is Professor Varsi here again. I hope you have watched the previous parts of speech lessons. If you haven't, please do, because I will be introducing new lessons to you, and it would be good to have a good foundation. Okay, so today we are going to learn to be verbs. Okay, what the forms are and how they're used in English grammar. What are to be verbs? They are verbs that describe a state of being or existence. Some examples of to be verbs are am, is, are, was, were, be, being, and been. So how do we use to be verbs in sentences? We use them in between a subject and the additional information about the subject, if it's a noun or even a pronoun. It would be strange if somebody said we doctors or he teacher, correct? It would be very confusing. And that is where to be verbs come into play. Like we are doctors or she is a musician. But before we move forward, try to do this exercise. It's very simple. There are only 4 sentences. Can you identify the to be verbs in these sentences? Okay, the first one is were. That's a helping verb. The second is, third is are, and number 4 is been. Okay, so there are 3 types of verb tenses in English: present tense, past tense, and future tense. You may already know this. So present tense to be verbs are am, is, and are. Past tense was and were. And future tenses will be. So there are 3 sentences below with blank spaces. I need you to fill the blanks with the correct to be verbs. Okay, so Suharto and Amelia are from Indonesia. Notice the to be verb are. It's not is because there are 2 people, Suharto and Amelia. We were in London last month. More than 1 person, that's a plural pronoun. And my family will be in Kuala Lumpur next week. Kuala Lumpur is in Malaysia. Okay. So how do we use to be verbs in present tense? Am, is, and are, right? There are 3 present tense to be verbs. So when it's just 1 person, then it's I am, he is, she is, it is, such as I am a doctor. And if there's more than 1 person, then you say we are, you are, they are. Complete the exercise below to practice what you've just learned. Okay. How did you do? Did you do well? Number 1 is am, number 2 is, and number 3 is are. Okay, how about the past tense? To be verbs in the past tense. So singular examples of to be verbs are was, as in the past tense. He was, she was, and plural is were. So there are 2 to be verbs in the past tense, was and were. She was taking a shower when the phone rang. That's just 1 person, she was. But if you are referring to more than 1 person, 2 people, such as Peter and Archana, they were in San Francisco last month. They went to San Francisco in California last month. So the to be verb in this case is the plural form. Peter and Archana were in San Francisco last month. Now, for practice, I think it would be a good idea for you to write sentences using was and were. So try that. Maybe you can do that after the lesson. Okay, so we have covered past tense, and we learned present tense before then. Now let's study the future tense. When something we plan to do in the future. Okay? So will be. Remember, either will or will be. They will be traveling to the US next month. I will be working on this project for 2 months. So this is an action that has not been completed, but people are planning to do it in the future. That is why it's called the future tense. Again, as you did before, try to write sentences using to be verb in the future tense. In this case, it will be. So practice writing, right? Writing is a good thing to do for you to express your feelings, ideas, and emotions. Okay, so there are positive to be verbs, and they're called positive because I am happy for you, for example, right? That's not a negative thought. Or John was thrilled to hear his wife was pregnant. Okay, so use New York, the professor at this college, and Bangkok, and try to write positive sentences using the correct form of to be verb. So try it, pause the video, and then complete the exercise. Okay, sometimes to be verbs can also be used in negative sentences, like not. I am not tired. They were not at home. Okay, so I have given you one example of each. One is a positive sentence, the other one is a negative sentence. Mustafa is in love with Zohra. And you can insert a negative to be verb, not, and the same sentence becomes negative. Mustafa is not in love with Zohra. Yeah? So try to do this exercise. There are 4 sentences for you, and negate each one of them. Let's see if you can do it right. Pause the video, complete the exercise, and then I'll show you the answers. Number 1 is not, number 2 is are not, number 3 is was not, and number 4 is are not again. And it's quite all right if you got maybe one sentence wrong. That's okay. It's all right to make mistakes because you're learning, correct? Okay, we can use to be verbs in question form also. Is she a teacher? Were they late? Is he from Japan, for example, right? So how about this? Maria is living with her mother. We turn that sentence into a question by moving the to be verb is to the front, right? Before Maria. So is Maria living with her mother is a question. And the answer could be either positive or negative. Yes, Maria is living with her mother, or Maria is not living with her mother. Okay? So look at these sentences. I am going to accept the job offer. Harry was in Switzerland last month. Jane and Suharto were in Indonesia 2 months ago. See if you can convert these sentences into questions. Try it. Stop the video here. Give yourself a couple minutes and create questions. Okay. Here are the answers for your reference. You see how each of the to be verbs have moved to the front of the sentence, to the beginning of the sentence. I am going to accept the job offer. Am I going to accept the job offer? Question mark. And so on and so forth. Okay. To be verbs are also followed by descriptions of an object or a person. For example, she is tall. You see, the is there is a to be verb. She is tall. We were happy, or we were sad, or I am happy. Right? These are all to be verbs with description. Feelings, qualities of a person, for example. Now, here's a name for you, Sunny Kam. complete a sentence using a to be verb. And the second one is this car. So notice there's only one car, not these cars. Complete a sentence and use to be verbs. Sunnycom is an amazing doctor. This car is fuel efficient. Okay? Now, we also use to be with location. Now, before I move on, let me make this point that it is not possible to include all to be verbs and all of the examples with locations because it's just a very, very long lesson. But right now, this lesson is very foundational, right? To be verbs in general, how they are the foundation of the English language. So depending on the locations, right, different prepositions are used, but let's just focus on to be verb, which is the purpose of today's lesson. I am at school, right? Not on school or in school. I am at school. Am there is a to be verb. They were in the park. Do you see the difference? I is just one person, first person I. So the to be verb is singular. I am. They means more than one person. It could be two, it could be three or 10. They were in the park. So the to be verbs in these two sentences are am and were. Okay, now complete the sentences and describe locations. Be creative. Think of a place, such as a park or a school or a bank. We will be, John and Sayako are, I am driving. Complete the sentences, please. See? So we will be in Florida tomorrow. The to be verb is in the future tense, will. John and Sayako are going to Times Square in New York. And I am driving to San Francisco. Right? So this is a good exercise. All right. What are some of the common mistakes? And if you do make these mistakes sometimes, maybe when you write or maybe when you speak in English, be mindful of these errors. So she are here. Can you tell what the error is? How many people is she? Just one person, correct? So it should be she is here, not she are here. So practice correcting to be verb errors in English. First, identify the to be verbs in the 3 sentences below, and then correct the errors. All right, so the college have is an error because there's only one college. So the to be verb should be singular. The college has many services. Students, more than one sentence. Student, right? 2, 3, 5, 10 maybe. Students. So it shouldn't be has because has is a singular to be verb. Students have passed English 101. And John and Akiko are 2 people, correct? John and Akiko. So this the to be verb should be singular, plural are. The incorrect sentence is John and Akiko is studying economics. It should be John and Akiko are studying economics. All right? Okay. When people speak, they don't speak in full forms of verbs such as I am, you are, he is. People speak very fast. So when native speakers of English speak, they contract to be verbs. So I am becomes you're. Rather than saying you are, people say you're, his, their. Okay? So negative sentence would be I'm not, I'm not I am not, and she isn't, not she is not, and we aren't gonna go, we aren't, not we are not. Most people contract to be verbs. Okay? So Can you rewrite sentences using contractions? I've already given you some examples. They are not happy with the hotel service. We were not in favor of failing the student. She will not agree to this. So first identify the to-be verbs and contract them. Try it. Right, did you contract the to-be verbs correctly? They are not happy becomes they aren't. We were not in favor becomes we weren't. And number 3 is she won't. This is interesting, right? Are not becomes aren't, were not becomes weren't, and will not becomes won't. As in, I won't go to the party. So try, practice pronouncing these contractions several times until you master it. Let's now learn some advanced uses of to-be verbs. To-be verbs are also used in the passive voice. The cake was eaten by him. Notice, the was is still there. It's a to-be verb, correct? In the past tense, the cake was eaten by him. And in the present progressive tense, also called the present continuous tense, they are running, okay, as we speak right now. For example, I am teaching you. So I'm using the progressive tense. I am explaining to-be verbs to you right now, okay? So identify and explain the use of to-be verbs in the following sentences. There are 4. So at this point, I'd like you to stop, okay? Stop the lesson, complete the exercise. And as I always do, I will show you the answers in a few seconds. Okay, great. We're meeting at 12:30, right? So at means time. What time? At 12:30, at 5 o'clock. And the second one is, I think I left my jacket in the car. So in, the location that is followed by in, is a place. We walked across the bridge. Across. Direction. And he wrote a love letter by hand. By means an agent, a person who does an action. Okay, we're almost at the end of the lesson. Let's summarize what we have learned so far. We learned that to-be verbs are am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been, and will. Okay, so they're positive, negative, and some to-be verbs are used in question forms. All right, so let's do this exercise so we can wrap up this lesson. I would like you to take at least 2 minutes, maybe more than 2 minutes, and do it slowly, don't rush. Pause the video now, complete the exercise. Okay, so the first to-be verb is am, then was, then were, will, are, am, and will. Okay, great. So remember, practice makes perfect. So even though you have completed the lesson, you need to practice using to-be verbs in speech when you talk to somebody. Make sure that the college has, not the college have. And write sentences and like short paragraphs also. You may need to go back, right, to the beginning of the lesson and review it again. But keep practicing, keep working hard. I will see you in the next video. If you have any questions or requests for specific lessons, please write them in the comment box below. Okay, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.